I didn't plan on bleeding for an alien queen. Hell, I didn't even believe in queens anymore. Empires fall. Thrones burn. Crowns get melted down into scrap and traded for bullets. That's what 30 years of war teaches you. That, and never stick your neck out for anyone wearing silk, human or otherwise. But war has a way of dragging you into things you swore you'd never touch again. The day it happened, I was just another washed-up human contractor on the edge of civilized space, if you could call a broken mining station orbiting a dying star civilized. The locals called it Karen's spine. We called it last mistake. I was halfway through a bottle of something that tasted like engine coolant when the alarms started screaming. Not the usual pirate raid siren. Not the decompression warning. No, this was the kind of alarm that made hardened killers freeze mid-drink. Royal Distress Beacon. I laughed. Yeah, right, I muttered. And I'm still young. Nobody sends a royal beacon out here. Nobility stays in polished cores and parade fleets, not in graveyard systems full of mercs and scavengers. But the station lights dimmed. Dock clamps locked. Emergency protocols slammed into place. That's when I knew someone important had just walked into hell. And something worse had followed them. The docking bay looked like a massacre before the shooting even started. A sleek alien cruiser, organic curves, polished like obsidian, had forced an emergency latch. Half its hull was torn open, like something had clawed its way in. Or out. Bodies were already on the floor. Not human. Tall, silver-skinned, four-armed, royal guard, if I had to guess. Their armor was elegant, not practical. Beautiful. Useless. I stepped over one and crouched. Clean kill. Precision shots. Not pirates. Not amateurs. Professional hunters, I muttered. Which meant one thing: whoever they were chasing was worth more than the entire station. That's when I heard her. A sharp inhale. Not fear. Pain. I turned slowly, hand already on my sidearm. She stood at the far end of the bay, half hidden behind a wrecked cargo loader. And yeah, Queen wasn't a title. It was obvious the second you saw her. Tall. Graceful. Skin like liquid metal, streaked with blood. Her eyes glowed faintly, violet, sharp, furious. And she was holding a weapon wrong. That told me everything. Royalty. Not a soldier. She aimed it at me anyway. Stay where you are, she said. Her voice didn't shake. Good for her. Bad for her. Relax, I said, raising one hand slightly. If I was here to kill you, you'd already be dead. Her grip tightened. I have already lost my guard. I will not hesitate to lose you. I smirked. Yeah, you will. She blinked. I tapped the dead guards at my feet. Whoever did that. They're not done yet. And when they get here, you'll need someone who actually knows which end of that thing to point. Her eyes flicked, just for a second, to the weapon. Mistake. I moved fast. Closed the distance, grabbed the barrel, twisted it down, stepped inside her guard. She reacted fast, faster than I expected, but not fast enough. I had her pinned against the loader in a heartbeat. Rule 1, I said quietly. Don't point weapons you don't understand. Her eyes burned into mine. Release me, human. There it was. Human. Not contractor. Not merc. Human. Like it meant something. Before I could respond, the bay doors exploded inward. Not opened. Exploded. Metal screamed. Air pressure dropped. Smoke rolled in. And through it, they came. Black armor. No insignia. Movement like machines. Hunters. The kind that erase governments. The kind that don't leave witnesses. The kind that definitely don't miss. Yeah, I muttered. We're both screwed. The first shot rang out. Not from them. From me. You learn a few things surviving human wars. 1. Shoot first. 2. Shoot accurately. 3. Never assume the enemy plays fair. The first hunter dropped before his boots fully hit the deck. Clean shot through the visor. The others reacted instantly, spreading out, returning fire. Fast. Disciplined. Dangerous. I grabbed the Queen by the arm and dragged her down behind cover as plasma fire chewed through the loader. You trying to get yourself killed? She snapped. Working on not getting both of us killed. I shot back. She struggled against my grip. I do not require your. A shot slammed into the metal inches from her head. She froze. Reality check delivered. You were saying? I asked. Her jaw tightened. Proceed. That was the closest thing to, please, I was going to get. I peeked out. 4 hunters left. No, 5. 1 flanking. Smart. I hate smart enemies. I grinned. All right. Let's dance. I pulled my jacket off and tossed it over her shoulders. She stiffened. What is this? Armor, I said. It's human. She frowned, like that made no sense. Stay behind me, I added. I am not your subordinate. Then die like a queen, I cut in. Your call. Silence. Then, very well. Good enough. I moved. Fast. Low. Aggressive. Humans don't win wars because we're stronger. We win because we don't fight like anyone else. I closed the distance on the flanker before he expected it, slid under his aim, drove a blade up through a joint in his armor. He convulsed. I didn't stop moving. Gunfire lit the bay. I used their precision against them, kept shifting, forcing them to hesitate, to reposition. 1 misstep. 1 angle off. That's all it takes. 2 more dropped. Then 3. The last one didn't fire. He just stood there. Watching. Calculating. Smart. You're not local, he said. Voice filtered. Cold. Neither are you, I replied. A pause. Then, you're human. There it was again. Diagnosis. Last I checked, I said. You should not be here. I chuckled. Story of my life. He tilted his head slightly. Step away from the target. You will be compensated. I glanced back at her. She was watching me. Not scared. Not pleading. Just waiting. Like she expected betrayal. Smart girl. I looked back at the hunter. Tempting, I said. Then I raised my gun. But I've always had a problem with authority. He moved first. So did I. The bay exploded into motion again. He was faster than the others. Stronger. More precise. He clipped my shoulder, armor burned, skin split. I felt the blood instantly. Warm. Familiar. I grinned through it. Yeah, I muttered. Now we're talking. We collided hard, close combat, brutal and fast. He fought like a machine. I fought like a human. Dirty. Unpredictable. Desperate. That's the difference. That's always the difference. I took another hit, sighed this time. Pain flared. Didn't matter. Pain means you're still alive. I slammed him into the deck, drove my blade down, he caught my wrist. Strong. Too strong. For a second we were locked. Then he said it. Quiet. Almost curious. Why protect her? I leaned in, blood dripping onto his armor. Because someone has to remind the universe. I said, voice low. That humans don't kneel. Then I headbutted him. Hard. Bone cracked. His grip loosened. That was enough. The blade went in. Deep. He went still. Silence fell. Heavy. Broken only by the hiss of damaged systems. I staggered back, breathing hard. Everything hurt. Good. That meant I wasn't dead yet. Behind me, I heard her step forward. Slow. Measured. You are injured, she said. Yeah, I replied. Happens when people try to kill you. She looked down at the bodies. Then back at me. Her gaze had changed. Not fear. Not suspicion. something heavier. You fought for me. I shrugged. Don't get used to it. She studied me for a long moment. Then she did something I didn't expect. Something no royal, human or alien, had ever done for me. She reached up and tightened my jacket around herself. Not like armor. Not like protection. Like it meant something. I will not forget this, she said. I snorted. Yeah, well. Just make sure your enemies forget me. Her lips curved slightly. Not quite a smile. Too late. That's when the station shook again. Harder this time. Not an attack. Something bigger. Much bigger. I looked up at the shattered bay doors, out into the void beyond. And saw them. Ships. Dozens. No, hundreds. Black. Silent. Waiting. The hunter hadn't come alone. Not even close. I exhaled slowly. Well, I said, wiping blood from my face. Looks like your day's getting worse, Your Majesty. She stepped beside me, eyes fixed on the fleet. No, she said quietly. Then she looked at me. For the first time, there was something almost amused in her expression. I believe, she said, it is about to become yours as well. I laughed. Of course it was. Because I bled for a queen. And now the entire damn galaxy was coming to collect. The void was alive with them, ships black as void itself, moving with the precision of predators that had studied the galaxy for centuries. Every maneuver, every angle, perfectly calculated. They thought they had the upper hand. They hadn't counted on humans. I glanced at her. The Queen's eyes, sharp, calculating, were still fixed on the incoming fleet. Her hands gripped my jacket, and for a brief second, I realized she trusted me enough to let me stand between her and annihilation. Big mistake on their part. All right, I muttered, brushing blood off my forearm. Let's remind them why humans aren't supposed to be underestimated. Her brow arched. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. I could see it in her eyes, curiosity. Intrigue. The kind of thing that alien monarchs never let themselves feel before the slaughter begins. I activated the station's emergency comms. Normally, a feeble signal would do nothing against a fleet like this. Normally, they would have torn it apart before a single transmission left the transmitter. But humans improvise. I keyed the channel. Attention, I said. My voice carried across the frequency in a rough, commanding tone. You think you've hunted a queen? You think you've cornered your prey? You're wrong. You've cornered a human. There was a pause. Not a response. Just observation. I grinned. Perfect. They were calculating. I like that. Here's the plan, I continued. You're big, black, and terrifying. I'm small, flesh and bone. But here's the twist, we're unpredictable. We're the thing you forgot exists in the galaxy, the thing that adapts. I slammed my hand on the station's control panel. Lights flickered. Doors groaned. Automated defense turrets, long thought decommissioned, came online. I didn't just activate them. I hacked them mid-fire sequence. Each turret fired at intervals no alien programming could anticipate. One shot, pause, misdirection, ricochet. Chaos. Explosions rocked the fleet before they even reached the station. Ships screamed in ways that shouldn't be physically possible. I could hear the Queen's sharp inhale behind me. Impressive, she said quietly. Humans, you fight differently than anything I've seen. I shrugged. That's the idea. The alien fleet responded. Not just force, but strategy. Ships swarmed. The station shook as plasma tore through the hull. I felt the heat on my face. My blood. My pain. And still, I didn't stop. Humans don't stop when it hurts. They adapt, improvise, and make the universe pay for underestimating them. I grabbed her hand. Follow my lead. She hesitated. Then nodded. We moved through the station like shadows of destruction. Every corridor, every bulkhead, became a weapon. Improvised explosives, hacked turrets, even the tiniest panels and debris, We used everything. And with every move, I could see the fleet reacting, confused. Frustrated. They had planned for perfection. They hadn't planned for chaos. One of the Queen's guards, survivors I didn't even know existed, appeared, alerted by the noise. I didn't pause. I made a choice. I ran toward the incoming soldiers, not away. Humans die less often when they charge. Enemies miscalculate. The Queen followed. And then it happened. A boarding pod slammed into the station from above, breaking through the outer hull. Dozens of alien soldiers poured in. Standard formation, standard tactics. Predictable. I smiled. Humans aren't predictable. I swung my arm, hurling a makeshift grenade into their midst. Chaos erupted. I barreled into the center, blade flashing, fist smashing through reinforced armor. Every strike, every movement, was unorthodox, dirty, unexpected. I could hear the Queen laughing behind me. Not out of amusement. Out of disbelief. The sound was like music, sharp and rare. "Human," she said between controlled breaths. "You are terrifying. You haven't seen anything yet." I grunted. I reached the control hub. With a few swift motions, I hacked the station's remaining systems. Navigation, energy, weapons, they all bent to human will. Every turret, every defense array, every automated countermeasure fired unpredictably, tearing through the boarding force and sending the fleet into disarray. Outside, the alien ships flinched. Thousands of years of training, perfect coordination, precision, they faltered. And I smiled because I knew exactly why. Humans don't fight like anyone expects. We don't calculate. We improvise. We adapt. We survive. And sometimes, we win. The Queen stepped beside me as the station shuddered under the fleet's desperate fire. Her eyes, metallic, sharp, still streaked with blood, studied the destruction with something close to respect. "You bled for me," she said quietly. "Yeah," I replied, wiping my face. "And you're welcome, Your Majesty." Her hand brushed my jacket again, the one I'd thrown over her shoulders earlier. "You have shown me humanity in a way that no empire could anticipate," she said. "Don't get used to compliments," I said, grinning. "I prefer my enemies scared, not impressed." The alien fleet was breaking. Communication lines jammed, navigation crippled, soldiers confused by improvised chaos. We had bought ourselves time. Time humans never waste. And then came the twist, my favorite part. From the shadows, a small contingent of rogue humans, mercenaries, smugglers, and former soldiers I had worked with decades ago, appeared, drawn by the Queen's distress beacon and my broadcast. They hit the alien flank with unexpected precision, using tactics only humans would dare: feints, ambushes, suicide charges, coordinated sabotage. The fleet hadn't accounted for backup. They hadn't counted on us. The tables turned. Chaos became devastation. The hunter commanders were forced to retreat or be destroyed. And the Queen, alive, impressed, and now indebted, stood in the center of it all. She looked at me again. "You humans are unlike anything I imagined." I smirked, wiping blood and grime from my face. "You've got that right." Because in a galaxy that thought it had seen everything, humanity had just rewritten the rules. And the universe would never underestimate us again. The silence after the storm was deafening. Smoke curled through the broken station. Fires hissed in low gravity. The Black Fleet had retreated, leaving nothing but shredded hulls and the echoes of human ingenuity behind. I leaned against the scorched bulkhead, one arm dangling uselessly from a shallow wound. Blood ran down my side, mixing with grime and ash. Pain was familiar, predictable, manageable. Victory, rare, intoxicating, and expensive, was even better. The Queen approached. She moved with the grace that made empires kneel and planets tremble. But here she was, vulnerable in ways her guards never allowed. She stepped into my bloody jacket, letting it drape over her shoulders once more, as if it were a banner, a shield, a symbol. "You risked yourself, for me," she said softly, almost incredulously. I risked myself for the right side of history, I corrected. And for the part of the galaxy that still needs reminding, humans don't kneel. She studied me, violet eyes sharp as twin blades, and then she smiled, a real, subtle curve of lips that could melt starships if they were alive. You have shown me something no conquest, no loyalty, no army could. Humanity is unpredictable. I laughed through blood and grit. Yeah. That's the thing about humans. We improvise. We adapt. We make monsters regret counting on their intelligence. And monsters always do regret it. Outside, the remnants of the alien fleet limped away, battered, broken, and bewildered. Word would spread, of a human who bled for an alien queen, of a station defended by sheer ingenuity, blood, and chaos. Word would spread of humans who fight like predators in ways no calculation can predict. The queen's hand brushed mine, just for a second. She didn't need to say anything. I could feel her trust, something precious in her world, and earned through violence and stubbornness alone. Then came the moment I never expected. She reached up, tugging at the jacket I had given her, and pressed it against her chest. She whispered, almost reverently, "This will serve as a symbol. A reminder that your species is not to be underestimated." I smirked. Good. Make sure it's the only thing they remember. Preferably burned into their sensors. She tilted her head, lips twitching with amusement, as if even centuries of royal protocol couldn't erase the faint thrill of surviving a human. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "I will remember you, as the one human who taught a queen to fear the unexpected." I chuckled. Not fear. Respect. Big difference. The station creaked ominously. Its systems flickered. Hull breaches hissed. Time was short. But I didn't care. The human part of me, the part that thrived on chaos, ingenuity, and sheer survival, was elated. The aliens thought they had power. Thought they had strategy. Thought they had superiority. They didn't account for us. They didn't account for the human instinct to endure, to improvise, to punish arrogance with pain. I limped toward the control panel. The Queen followed, careful but unafraid. She didn't need my guidance anymore, but she stayed close. Something unspoken passed between us, alliance, understanding, and the knowledge that humans, once unleashed, change everything. I activated the distress beacon again, not to call for help, but to mark the station as reclaimed territory. Let the galaxy know, humans are here. Humans bleed, yes, but we also strike back with precision, savagery, and cunning that no alien empire can predict. And as the last alien ship disappeared into the void, I realized something profound. We didn't just survive. We dominated. Not through numbers, not through tech, not through obedience. Through unpredictability, adaptability, and sheer defiance. The Queen looked at me, eyes now softened by an emotion I could barely name. "I owe you my life." I shrugged, one shoulder bleeding freely, every inch of me aching. "Don't worry about it. Just make sure the galaxy knows who's really in charge. Humans. Always humans." She smiled faintly. "I will." And then she did something that shocked even me. Something no queen, no monarch, no alien could have predicted. She took the jacket, my human, bloody jacket, and wrapped it around herself fully, as if donning armor of trust, alliance, and history. In that moment I knew the galaxy would never forget. Not the Queen. Not the humans. Not the lesson that one species, underestimated for centuries, could turn blood, grit, and chaos into absolute dominance. I looked out at the stars, at the alien fleet limping away, and whispered to myself, half in pain, half in triumph. Humans always survive. And sometimes, we make the universe bleed right back. The Queen nodded, silently agreeing. And together, we watched the horizon, knowing the war was far from over, but also knowing that the galaxy had just learned its first and most brutal lesson. Humans are nothing to underestimate. And the jacket? That was her reminder. My reminder. Everyone's reminder. Some battles are fought with weapons. Some are fought with cunning. But the ones worth remembering are fought with human will. We had won. And the universe would never recover from what it had just seen.